Hello everybody, this is Chris from Deciphering the Devil's Details. I'm making my very first video today. Yeah, we're a little nervous, but we're going to get through this together. I'm making it clearly about the mud flood and how it has affected the city that I live in. If you don't know much about the mud flood, it was basically a great deluge of mud that kind of happened all over the world. Like we got evidence of Omaha here. We got the Colosseum in Rome. Yeah, like just all over the world. I think this is Seattle here. All the ancient buildings and pyramids and all that stuff are all dug out from dirt or mud, however you want to say it. But sediment or whatever coming up. This is Japan. Yeah, Omaha again. Russia over here. But it just happened all around the world, or at least all the major metropolises. We got London here happening. Keeps going on and on. A little bit of explanation. So a lot of places you'll see they'll have these window wells. They'll have to build these little guards to keep out water and rain and snow and dirt that just kind of wants to blow in there, and they have these like whole entrances that are underground. Wondering is, why would you design a building where this can happen, where you can have water and rain and dirt and leaves and all that kind of crap blow in there, that you have to dig it out every winter, and this happens all over the world. So in that picture in Russia that we've seen on the top there, they had these window wells that were covered by grates so that snow and crap didn't fall in there, people didn't fall in there. Then they decided to remove the street level. When they dug it out, they found that it was a whole window underneath there, and actually they've even had doorway. Why would you build doorways and full windows if this is the street level? And then the other token is, did they build this at one point and then decide, hey, you know what, we're just going to make this the main level, and the city came in and said, you know what, we're gonna raise all the concrete up here just so we can build this up, and now this is the main level, and this is your basement, and if you had a basement before, well, now that's your second. That is the mud flood, and that happened all around the world. So I'm going to tell you about how I believe it happened here in the town that I live in of St. John. So with that in mind, I'm just going to explain to you a little bit about St. John. So this is St. John, New Brunswick, and that is not to be confused with St. John's, Newfoundland, Labrador. So St. John is a coastal port city on the Bay of Fundy. It's the third largest port by tonnage for all cargo. Decided to part ways with Nova Scotia and become our own province. The colony of New Brunswick was created, and they had contemplated it, calling it New Ireland. And it became a municipality in 1785. It is the oldest of the 5 chartered cities of Canada. It was discovered by Samuel de Champlain, so 1604, I guess it says right here, on John the Baptiste Day. But we all know that the Mi'kmaq and the Métis people were here for thousands of years before that. Thousands of years. We so much history is here with the native people, and they just basically came in and ran them out. Anyway, so after all this beef with the French, the English kicked them out, and in 1755 and decided to build Fort Howe in 1779. Fort Howe was a very small little star fort. We have star forts being built here in St. John upon a hill. There was a plan to build of the St. John River, but it is going to be Fort Frederick. I'm not sure if this was on the South Peninsula or if this was on the west side. There's some pictures of it looking like it's on the west side, but it kind of looks like it's just on a big old peninsula, right? We'll get to that probably on another video, because I got some crazy stuff I want to show you guys. This General Howe guy has a really dark and dirty history, raping and pillaging of New Jersey, and we have Partridge Island, which was a quarantine island for the Great Famine. I'm just going to cruise down here. We got the Shield. They basically took everything and made it smaller, it looks like. We had big beavers, now we got small beavers. They had big old trees, now we got small trees. We had huge fish, now we got a bunch of fish that you can fit into barrels. You can decipher this on how you want to decipher it. I don't know. I'm just playing right now. So some notable firsts. We're the first incorporated city in Canada. First quarantine station in North America, which is Partridge Island, which I'm gonna make a video of me going out to this island. You have to actually crawl across a break wall. It's actually kind of cool. So we got the old bank is pretty crazy too. I'm gonna pop up a little picture here. He's gonna jump up on you. And that was 1820 for Charter Bank. So it was the first penny newspaper in the Empire. Made the first automated steam foghorn was invented here. Pretty cool. Very first clockwork time bomb was developed in St. John. Who would have thought? Who knew, right? We have some geology. We got a picture of the Cannabacasis River, which is kind of cool. This old map here that I have shows it's the Cannabacasis River. So I wonder if they were growing hemp in this area. The native people were growing hemp when colonists first came in here and started dominate them. And in St. John, the difference between low tide and high tide is approximately 8 meters, 28 feet due to the funneling of the Bay of Fundy. It's pretty crazy. We have the reversing falls. It's actually really just the reversing rapids. So basically, I'll pull this up for you here. Basically, you have, this is the St. John River flowing out. It basically comes, kind of looks like a face here, which is kind of interesting, but comes down this way here, and it flows like every good river flows out to sea. But because our tides are so high here that at low tide it flows out and gets sucked out, but at high tide the seawater pushes its way back in all the way up, and then it hits low tide again, and it all flows out back out to the sea. High tide, it comes back in, and it all flows back in. Every 6 hours, it switches direction. You can come and kind of chill right here, I believe. Watch the rapids go like crazy through there. It's pretty wild. The neighborhoods, this is what we want to talk about here, is Uptown. So the Central Peninsula is called Uptown. It's made up of two towns that merged, Partown and Carlton. Yeah, so the Central Business District and the Trinity Royal Heritage Conservation Area is all in this area. So that's the old area, right? That is, jump back to my maps here. That is basically like from all this area, kind of area here, coming all the way down is kind of the west side of this peninsula. That's the conservation area. It's all old. Business district, and we got terminals and all these little landmarkers that I've laid down, but there's like a lot of businesses all in here, and this is where the wharf is, all the old ports. This is the Market Square slip right there. So we'll get back to the term Uptown. Comes from the time when the city was an active port. Now it's kind of moved away from being right in the city, and people at the slip, the Market Square slip, go up the hill to get to the city. In addition, most of the Central Peninsula is situated on a hill. The central area of downtown is rarely referred to as downtown, but never say downtown. It's always Uptown. Call it Uptown or we funk you up. Alright, we have a lot of the old heritage buildings down there. A lot of just about, there's the north side, the north end. I haven't really gotten into exploring all the rest of the city, but I'm going to take you to Uptown. So, I'll take you down to the ethnicity part of it, because it's kind of interesting here. So it was called Canada's Irish City, because in between the years, 1815, when the industry was popping off here, into Confederation, we had a whole crapload of immigrants come here. A lot to do with the Great Famine, but we had 150,000 immigrants just migrate to St. John. 1847, we had 30,000 people come just in that 1 year. We know a lot to do with the whole British home children, that a lot of these 150,000 were probably children. They were largely tradespeople. So when they got here, you know what they did? We put them to work. The Loyalist House was built in 1817. Well, it was finished. They said that it took from 1810 to 1817 to build it because of the 1812 war, or probably the upheaval of the comets, the Tecumseh's comet, and or Napoleon's Comet, however you want to look at it, but or even Zacharias Stitchin's Comet too. So it took that long for them to build it, and all upheaval and all that stuff. So then we end up getting into all this jargon about how the dirty old loyalist built this house and family and stayed in their thing and this, that, and the other about how, the loyalists shaped everything, whatever. This is what I want to tell this part here. While the houses originally built at street level, as the city expanded, the streets were dug down to lessen the strain on the draft horses coming up from Germain Street. This created the elevated look of the house, which you can see in the photos above. So we'll go take a look of it. Yeah, it's elevated, right? Why would you build it with all these things here? Imagine building it, bringing in a couch into here or something. Any kind of long drawer or dresser or whatever you want to have in there. Can't move anything in and out of this place now, right? So everything's in there. It's been in there forever. It'll stay in there forever. So let's get into the dirty old Loyalist House right now. Go into my Mudflat Park. Dirty old Loyalist House. So I took these pictures the other day. We'll start off with this one. So this is a view from across the street. Alright, so we got, this is street level. This is street level now. This is probably old street level right across here, right? This is where this little white picket fence stops, right? And goes right along there. My question is, how long does it take for mud to become stone? I think Wikipedia says 200 years. We're looking at about 200 years now, but this was obviously been like this for a long time. So I wonder if they had some kind of treatment to make it look, make this mud just look like stone. So this is how high it looks. This is where the rocks are, right? So this is Germain Street. So this is the horses. They dug this down so that it's not such a crazy height for the horses to come up. So they dug all this down, right? So they had to dug this street down too as well. That's this is how the view looks from there. And so if you're out in the street, this is pretty sweet looking old Jeep there, but see how this stone is, right? The stone is just kind of left there, and then they have this old retaining wall to keep in the mud. They got the white picket fence, and we got a little doorway right there, so that's like probably 1 step, 2 step into the house. So this is the closer picture of the wall. This is more like, was this mud at one point, and then they just kind of did a treatment to it in some way, and they just kind of made it stones, right? So that's dirty old Loyalist House. One last thing about St. John that I really want to tell you. I'm sorry if I'm going to give you some kind of crazy motion sickness going up here like this, but I got to tell you about our motto, right? So the nickname of the city is Port City, original. So our motto is whatever that is in Latin. We have fortunate ones whose walls are now rising. But the second one I like much better is, oh happy they whose promised walls already rise. So we're talking about these people building on top of another older civilization that was under this mud. And then that's pretty much that. So now that's the slow parts out of the picture here. We can get into picture part of it. So these are my Mudflat pictures. So we have tons of evidence. I just went on a little stroll around Uptown. We have tons of evidence, really, really old, cool looking buildings that have windows that are bricked up all over the city. This is an alleyway that you can kind of walk down. They close down in the summer, and they have little parties and DJs and music and lights, and you can walk around with your beer and whatever and hang out here, and yeah, it's a cool little place. But yeah, like you got these archways that look like they're all built at the same level for big long doors, but they are shorter. They progressively get shorter. So this is the Masonic Temple. The mud is kind of like the street level. From the street level up here goes down, and they dug all this out so that they can have access to their doors that were already built here. They had to excavate the mud. They had windows that were built. What a nice view that window has, right? This is just another random building that has archways. Exactly the same archways as up here, and for these big windows. they have them down in the bottom, but they brick them over. Why would you build windows down there just to brick them over? This is a major thing that happens in St. John, I've noticed. They get the old brick, the old masonry, the old buildings, the old part that burnt down. So yeah, they have like this really old masonry happening, and then it goes right up into this next like red brick stone. So this happens all over the place. I guess this one picture I just wanted to show you guys. We got the window wells. How deep do these windows really go? Nobody knows. And then we got more windows that are on the ground level. Strange. This is just a big old building. They just have this front brick facade, big facade, and they have like this crazy looking archway, and it's just so nice. And then the pillars here are just polished, like you can see everything. It's like it's like a crazy old reflection. And somebody going around polishing these posts, like these poles. That I don't think so. I've never seen it. So I don't understand. The whole city is filled with them. The video that I'm about to show you is this top part. So it goes down. This is the start of it. So I'm showing you that it goes down, like this is one level here. It goes down like a story and a half. And then the next street goes down, it's set in, and it goes down like a story and a half. And then the next street on top of that goes down a story and a half. And all these buildings throughout this area I'm going to cover all have mudflat. I didn't get a chance to take pictures of them on my walk. I was really excited and wanted to take a picture of the wall. This is pretty close to the wall. The new old post office. There's an older one that's even crazier. But yeah, like I was saying before, St. John has these retaining walls everywhere. Like look how high up that is. That's like at least 2 stories. But mostly it's just held up by these old brick walls. This is just part of the pictures on a brick wall, like, you know, old stone. And they cut out a window and built all this stuff and put on their old new red brick. But yeah, it's just some old architecture that shows you exactly, you know, this is like a story and a half here. Different level. The arches continue to go right into the ground here, but that's a little 6-foot door for people who duck. You know, I have to duck to get into there. And there's little windows in there too, so we'll see that later on. And I'll see this later on. This is more, you know, of that whole thing. It's a whole story and a half above, and that whole story and a half above, and that's a whole story and a half above. It goes on, and these pictures are all just the same. It's just new masonry over old masonry with these old little arches, and now they have to simulate the arches. But the whole thing is that there's all this stuff. So when I get into my video, this is the school I'm going to show you, and that this is the street, this is the level they built the school at, right? This is a high school, man. This is a high school. Is this high school wheelchair accessible? Maybe you could get in the back, but this is the level that they had to level the street out at, and it probably was inundated with mud, and they had to dig it all down and to level it all out. So they just built these retaining walls so that they didn't have to dig out this old masonry that's here, right? It's probably that go deeper, right? And they had to level out the street. They had to build this retaining wall. They had to put this huge hill, and we're gonna see some crazy stuff about it. Yeah. So yeah, this is like a 5-foot door. Old walls, the retaining walls with the new retaining walls, all over this city. They have to match up these levels. Right. And then this is just on one of the streets there in Uptown. I think we've gone pretty much full circle now. So now, I believe, we have a bunch of pictures of just old shits that's happening. This is the old bank. It's the old post office. The old post office beside the old bank. And, oops. This is me chilling beside those, like right here, the bottom of the base of those pillars. It's up to my head, basically. I'm 6 feet tall, and, you know, these doorways are made for people taller than me. Then we have, yeah, more of these pillars in old style, Victorian, or this is the new old post office, the newer one. Old building, old architecture. Like how did they make this sculpture? I have no idea. These are on these shiny pillars too, and it's like this has been here since 1877, like this. 1877, they've looked like this. Like, incredible. Like, how do you do this? How do you make the concrete that stays like that, right? Like the faces, like some of the yeah, and just a whole bunch of more photos. There's a little window down there, and different masonry, and handsome gentleman. So now we can get into the video. See if my computer will crash. So I gotta kill the sound, and this is up on top of the hill. Cars swerving around me. So this is I'm starting up here, and starting up on top of the hill here, and we're looking down, and this drops down like a story and a half almost here, right? I keep saying a story and a half, how it drops down, and how we have these little retaining walls everywhere to keep the mud up. They just have these retaining walls, which is probably the old mud that they built on top of instead of digging down old little tiny windows. And look, they get bigger and they get deeper, right? I mean, so the windows are all, you got normal windows here. I wonder if they got windows on the other side. But yeah, here you go. You got a drop of like a story and a half, right? And then we basically come over here to this more retaining walls. Could you dread up out the way, foo? So we got more retaining walls with houses that are built up on hills, right? That are built up on these pedestals that are keeping up all this mud. They didn't want to level it out. They just decided that they were going to build the houses on top of it. Retaining walls just holding up the mud for the houses. This here now is the back of the school, the back of the high school that I showed you guys earlier. This is the back of it. And now we're just going to take a walk down. It's all icy. I went out there, it was like minus 25 Celsius with the wind chill. It was windy, that's why I'm not keeping the sound on. I was kind of talking here in bits. Is that wheelchair accessible? But this is the old, this is all old block. This is all old building, retaining walls being held up. Old block here that's holding up all this stuff. And it's like, they just built this red brick stuff all on top of this old masonry that's here. This all new masonry on top of old masonry. But this is the street level up here, so you can walk right into here maybe if you wanted. But you have to go up here, and this is all ice and snow and craziness, and for these kids that are coming out of here, right? And this little passage, when you zoom in, there is windows below the dirt. There's dirt underneath this snow. Below the dirt and snow, there's windows. Exactly where you would keep windows in the basement. That's how they build them, right? Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? This is where I almost killed myself trying to avoid traffic and ice and slipping and falling. Probably hear me scream like a little girl there. So this here is the old masonry. And then they built this stuff on top of it. And then they had to even build this on top of that. Is even a new, different construction made with these big stones, but it's not the same as this. Right? And they even went, and I don't even know, is this burnt? Is that what they tried to do? Is somebody not washing the silt off of the Great Fire in 1877? Then they just went ahead and just built brick on top of it. Right? That's just what we do. We just keep on building on top of that. But look how high up this is, right? Look how high up all this retaining wall is. We'll speed around here. I zoom in. 1932 is the cornerstone that the fuck Masons put on here. I mean Freemasons, sorry. And then I'm trying to cross the street here to give you a better picture. So this is Mudflat, I think, man. This is pretty good evidence of it. And then yeah, why have a staircase like that? They don't even put a handrail. You know, kind of weird. But you got these big ass bricks, and then the new brick, and then all the old brick that they tried to put in the corners and make it. This is the whole reason I made this video. I couldn't wait to do it. I couldn't wait to show you guys this. Ice wind, snow, whatever, I don't care, to show everybody the world is. So this is like, so this is only like 8 inches to maybe a foot in spots of gap between this sidewalk level and this top of this street, top of this level here of whatever this wall is, okay? Wait, look back at this thing. So we got all the old bricks up in the corner and all around the window frames, like I was saying. And then, yeah, sorry, my camera kind of sucks the video. These are all, I tried to zoom it in so you could see that they literally just took the brick on the bottom and cut it and placed them in different ways here. Yeah, and that's that about that one. So then this is my wall. This is me gonna risk my life for you guys. I was contemplating just, you know, sliding right down on my bum, but this is another building that they just built right into the ground, right into the hill. I had to make one video, my battery's gonna run out. I couldn't let you guys down. So we're crossing the street here. Hopefully not gonna get hit by any cars. So what we're looking at here is Port of St. John. This is the port. This is the cruise terminal. This is when you come in to St. John on a cruise. This is the first thing you see, or would see if there wasn't a row of buses parked right across this, right down the street here. You would get, boom, right there. There it is. The Mudflat Wall. There it is, guys. I don't know how else to describe it to you, but this wall, the only way this wall's here is by mud flood. Run, jump across this street here. This is the street level that I just walked across. This is the street level. This is the school. I just walked all the way down here and I came down the hill on this right side. All this was 1 foot to 8 inches, and I even got up to like maybe 6 inches over here difference from the street level, from the top of this wall to the road of the sidewalk, and then you got maybe another few inches for the street, right, with the gutter coming off the sidewalk, right? So street level is up here at that height, right? Why would you build windows down here? Why would you build the windows unless the street level wasn't at that height and it's been inundated with mud and they left it and just built on top of everything? So now we're gonna cross the street here. I take a picture. That's the hill I just came down. I'm gonna jump across the street here. I'm gonna jump across. So this is it here, right? So now I'm in the middle of, this is a building. This is not, I'm not looking at the side of a building. This is the inside of a building. This parking lot is the building. When you come around here, look, there is a wall of the other side of the building. I am standing inside of a building that's over 200 years old, and it has windows in it that are below street level. This might not even be the level. There might be stuff below this. It's insane. Giant blocks, right? Huge blocks. I'm walking up to it, right? I'm 6 foot tall. Look, this is me. Look, just standing there, catching the view. This is me looking out my mud flood window. Right? Shit don't make sense. 2 walls. I'm inside the building, right? I'm in the corner of the building right now. And if you look at it here, I think I pan over. Oh, I'm going out, I'm walking out. So yeah, look, this is 2 stories. This is us at normal level, 2 stories, right there, right? So this is 2 stories up. Boom. That next road is 2 stories, inundated. Mud has inundated this 2 stories. That they cement these all up, brick them up. All these people with a truth hidden in plain sight, right under their noses. They park their cars here every day. Every day. These people park their cars right in front of this wall. And I bet you they've never even asked the question. I took one of my friends to this wall, and he said, how is this possible that nobody has said anything about this? How is this even possible that nobody is talking about this? And I said to him, there's people out there that are talking about history is literally his story. It's the story that the man is telling us so that we don't question any. This, look, another wall. So I'm trying to run over to tell you I'm still at street level. Where are we at? I came all the way from that hill up there. 1.5 stories, 1.5 stories, 1.5 stories. We're looking at 4.5 stories up here. How deep is the mud flood? Or is it that there was a little bit of a hill and it was only 1.5 stories deep? The mud flood came in 1.5 stories deep and put 1.5 stories under anything. Or was it a little bit worse here? I hope that everybody has a great day. I'm just going to show you some pictures. I'll just pop some pictures up here of it. And yeah, we're just going to like, wow, well bam. Look at those. Like I was saying, all these people park their cars here. Don't even know it. This is me and my buddy. He dropped me off there 2 days before I went to just kind of do a little reconnaissance and check it out, and he was just baffled. How does this happen? How does this happen? Who knows? It's funny the way when your eyes get open is only when you see, right? It's the way it is. You have to have your eyes open to see. That is my mud flood introduction to St. John. I have all these points. That's the wall right there. And we were at Duke, we came down Duke Street, so we came down from Charlotte, and we came down here. Hey, that is my little St. John mud flood city. Thank you for tuning in. Much loves.